I'm Tom McGowan, and with Teresa Catalano, we are the UNL side of a research team that has been looking at the ways in which, across two cultures and two very different, on the surface, it appears like two very different systems of education, how the preparation, what is happening with the preparation of second language teachers, given that both Spain and the United States are experiencing sudden rushes of immigration, causing the need for second language instruction to increase. Particularly, I think you're all familiar with what's happened in Nebraska with some of the meat packing towns around Nebraska, like Madison and Columbus and so on. So we're looking at that issue. They have, in a number of different ways, been working with us for a number of years on things like student exchanges. And I had the opportunity, the great pleasure to be a professor visitante at their university in Toledo, Spain, and spoke fluent Spanglish with their students for a couple of class sessions, and they are now here with us, and they are, for the very quick trip for 4 days, they are profesoras visitantes here in Lincoln. They're going to talk about the system, their university, and the system of teacher preparation, and a little bit about our study. I will turn over to this is my keen command of spatial reasoning. Okay, on your right, this is Professora Olga Elwes and Professora Victoria Guadamillas on your and I will turn it over to them.
Thank you. So just to start, we want to say thank you very much to Thomas and Teresa for giving us this opportunity to be here today, just talking to you, and also to thank them because we started to work in this project that has been very successful, and I think that it's a kind of enrichment experience because we had also today the opportunity to visit a school here in Nebraska, and we had the opportunity to see just in a practical way all the things that we are studying for our project. So we wanted to start, just also introduce Olga, yes. We wanted to start with a very simple question probably for you, because I heard that you are also graduated students, so you probably know perfectly where is Spain, but just to have an idea about that. And also we started to work on that project because we have a similar number of inhabitants in Castilla-La Mancha, our region. In the following slide you can probably see that better. Our region is Castilla-La Mancha, that in the south, half an hour from Madrid by train and an hour by car. And this is also a very agricultural place like Nebraska. We don't have so many factories and we don't have so many immigration like you, but the kind of economic not the economic situation, but the kind of economic activity in the region is similar to the economic activity that you have here. And we are, just a second, this is Castilla-La Mancha, and the capital city of Castilla-La Mancha is Toledo. That's Toledo, and this picture here you can see that you have snow. That's not very usual like in Nebraska, but still you have snow from time to time. And it is called the city of the three cultures because there were living Christian, Jews and Muslims for a lot of years, and it's also a World Heritage Site recognized by the UNESCO. And then looking at our university, it's not a very old university. It started to run in 1982, and probably you want to continue with some.
Hello, good morning, I'm Olga. I'm sorry for my English because I'm French teacher in the Faculty of Education. I'll try to manage myself. If you have any doubt, please ask, and I try to, and I have Victoria and some help in the room. Yes, about our university since 1982, as Victoria has said, some basic data to start. And this is from the academic year 11-12, and this is the number of undergraduate students and postgraduate or PhD programs we have. Yes, 64 different areas of knowledge, and this is the number of faculty members, so teachers or lecturer staff, and campuses is important because our university has 4 campuses in 4 different provinces of the region, Castilla-La Mancha, and schools of, in the past, our Faculty of Education was considered a school. Now we are a faculty. It depends on the year of studying, and departments. We will talk afterwards about language department, Spanish and modern language, and programs, different kind of studies our student can choose. And to end to this foundation, we have only one, and normally is working on Spanish as a language, second language. So this foundation, we have a good relationship to ESTO, Programa ESTO, that means Spanish in Toledo, and we receive a lot of number of American students from Nebraska every year, 12 years ago, this program, and also now from China. This is our foundation to spread Spanish in our university. About campuses, as I told you, we have 4 main cities. Albacete, Almaden is another place we can study industrial engineering there, but Ciudad Real also is another city. It's the administrative center of our university. Cuenca, a historical place also to visit and to know. And Talavera and Toledo, that's our campus. We'll see some pictures afterwards. And Talavera is also, we can study social studies there in Talavera in the north of Toledo. And in a general way, these are 5 lines or areas of knowledge. We can study arts and humanities, science, health science, social and economical science, and engineering, just a moment please, and engineering and architecture. Our studying for teachers to become a teacher, Faculty of Education, it's almost a bit in art and humanities, yes, and also social education, if you want. It's a mixture of these 2 big areas of knowledge. If you want to, we will try with there's a sport made 4 or 5 years ago of our university. I suppose you understand Spanish in general, only to see.
Tengo todo por decidir. Sé lo que busco. Quiero poder elegir. Quiero la mejor preparación. Superar los obstáculos. Conectarme al mundo. Aprovechar cada momento. Quiero conocer y que me conozcan. Porque lo tengo claro, me quedo.
Universidad de Castilla-La Mancha. Aquí es posible.
And you can see at the end the meals, but smaller ones, yes, because our region is typical the meals from Don Quixote de la Mancha, Cervantes' main book, and well, it was only to show you different itineraries. Continue. Yes, it's me. Okay. Yeah, you want to continue? Yes. So in our Faculty of Education, we have now, because in the past we had 5 different programs, now we have 2 to study. So a student can choose between early or preschool education and primary education. So I mean, for secondary education, they have to study another area of knowledge. So our students, we have two big lines. And in general, they study 4 years. The first and the second course, they have core and compulsory subjects, normally related to psychology, sociology, and pedagogy areas, even if they have to choose also the study that's important for our project, the study of a second language. In English is Victoria, one of the lecturers, and in French, normally they choose between English and French studies, and in first and second course. Then, in third and fourth course, they have optional subjects, so a kind of specialization. And that's very important for our student practicum, teaching practice training or experience 1 and 2. 1 is in the third course, and they have to stay at school with its 18 credits. So I mean 2 completing months in school in the same timetables of our teachers. And in 4th course, they do practicum too, and they are now starting. Do you have any questions?
I'm sorry, once again, Olga, I'm sorry to interrupt, but just as a point of clarification, particularly for people who don't speak Spanish, the word in Spanish is curso, but what it would mean, we think of that as 3 credits, and you take a bunch of cursos in order every year. But the sense in Spanish is that it's a course of study. So we're talking about the first and second years, the third and fourth years, because a course of study typically goes across 2 semesters. So just a sense that they don't get to be teachers by taking 4 courses. It's a little more involved than that. So just
4 years.
Yeah, it's 4 years of pretty intensive study that's put together as what in Spanish is expressed as cursos.
Thank you very much. So 4
No.
years. Yes, this is third and fourth year, academic year. And I was talking about practicum. Yes, practicum 2. They are now starting the period of teaching practice in school, the second semester of the 4th year, and they stay during 3 completely months at school from 9 to 2. This is normally. And then they have to choose between this line of specialization, English education, which is very in schools. We'll see afterwards about bilingual programs, physical education, language, culture, and multicultural education, and ICT, new technologies education, project-based education, and musical education. We have also to show you a particularity of our faculty and also the region of Castilla-La Mancha. They have also religion, Catholic religion itinerary, if they want to work in charter schools. It's difficult from our faculty. They add some Catholic religion subjects. Okay, concerning the study.
We're sorry about that.
Concerning the study of the language, of the second language learning, we have 2 main departments in our faculty where they can prepare themselves. To Spanish department, they have all these subjects. If you look there at the total number of credits, it's 156. They can choose all, they don't choose all at the same time, but it depends on the itinerary. And you can see acquisition, didactics in preschool, primary, oral communications, and grammar skills. That's very important to become a teacher. Yes, please,
Yes,
Thomas.
here I go again. Just so you know, credit hours in España are computed differently, and so 156 hours for a specialization. The way they award credits in Spain is based on contact hours. So when you talk about 156 credits, that's probably more like 25 here in this country. So I'm sorry to keep interrupting.
It's not the same, but it's a lot of hours of teaching practice. Well, so children literature also they can study youth literature, and concerning our department, they have 3 mother languages they can follow as English, French, compulsory during the first and second year, and then we have another subject, methodology, communicative skills, phonetics, English children literature, and PE. We'll talk about that afterwards at the end of the presentation. And language as a culture vehicle may be interesting to connect to your subjects here. And Arabic, the third language, they can also choose or follow. It's Arabic. And why this language is very related to our city, because in Castilla-La Mancha, where Victoria has said the 3 culture, but now it's a center of research, Escuela de Traductores, it will be translators school, and they continue teaching Arabic and Hebrew. Okay, and we have also this third mother language to follow, only in our faculty, not Castilian.
That's an example of, that's our faculty. It was a weapon factory in the past, and now it's been rebuilt. So in this main building will be the offices of the teachers, and then here through this walk that we have would be the different classes when they attend to the lessons. It's quite interesting because everything has been rebuilt, and inside everything is modern, but they are still keeping the style. And Toledo was the center for weapons in the past, and swords from Toledo are very famous. So they were working with the steel, so quite interesting. And then to continue, we just saw the faculty organization, so now we are gonna continue with the educational system that we have at schools in Spain, just for you to have an idea of what kind of schools we have and what kind of education they receive. So we have 3 types of school. I think that is similar to the thing that you have in here, except for the chapter schools, because I don't think that you have that in here. We have state schools that are completely funded by the government, and then we have those charter schools. I think that you have that in Nebraska in the past, but not anymore. And I don't know, I don't really know, but I think so.
We can't. The law in Nebraska is you can't have charter schools. The rest of the United States has lots of them.
So those charter schools are quite popular in our region and quite popular in Toledo because they are costing less money to the government, because they are also funded by the religious community. So between parents and between the government, they are having enough money. And then we have private schools that they are not very popular in our region, mainly because they are expensive and we are not a very rich region, and also because they normally close to Madrid, but in the area of the north, and they are normally bilingual schools, and also because in Spain the public education is quite popular for every parent. Then if we look at that's in Spanish, but I will just try to explain that in a second. If we look at the educational system, primary, secondary education and everything, just for you to have an idea, we have 4 years in preschool education, and then we have 3 different cycles in primary. So would be the first cycle would be 6 years and 7 years old, and then the second cycle would be 8 years and 9 years old. So they finish primary education when they are 11. So when they are 11, they are obliged to go to secondary education, so that's compulsory for every student in Spain, and they got 4 years of secondary education, but the first 2 years are compulsory, and in the second year they can have a kind of training to go to learn a profession, I mean, in the future. So they are obliged to finish 4 years of studies, but some students just complete the first 2 and then do what is called programa de cualificación profesional, a kind of qualification to work in the 2 second years of secondary education. And then after that, people who are going to go to the university when they are 16 years old, they do bachillerato, that's a kind of preparation for university, but it's still in high school. And people who are not going to study at university, they go to professional training. So they have a kind of, let's say, internship or something. They are not paid, but they are just a kind of practicum at companies. And at the same time, they continue studying. And then people who are going to university, they continue with these 2 years, and then they have to do an exam to have access to university. And they are supposed to pass this test if they want to go to a public university. If their parents got money and they are going to go to a private university, they don't have to pass this test when they end bachillerato. And this is 18 years old, and then they go to university. And then here, just because we were working especially with primary and preschool education, I don't know if you use nursery here, we wanted to have here just the years that we have in primary and preschool. It's 3 years in preschool. They are not compulsory, but most of the kids go to preschool education. Before that, we also have kindergarten, but kindergarten is not public, but preschool education is also public. And then they go to primary education, so it's the first cycles, as I explained just a minute ago, 2 years, 2 years, and 2 years. And then just moving further on a bit, we were studying what kind of attention we have to immigrants youth at schools in Nebraska, and what kind of attention we give to immigrant youth in Spain. That's kind of difficult because, as I told you just a minute ago, we don't have so many immigrants like in Nebraska, but still we have some, but they are not having, we're realizing when we were working in the project that we don't have this close attention to immigrants like you have here. So when we started to work in the project between UNL and UCLN, that's University of Castilla-La Mancha, we wanted to compare diversity and immigration at schools. We also wanted to know the linguistic preparation of pre- and in-service teachers in both countries, and we wanted to find possible solutions to improve the language education that that we have at a school, because I was realizing today that you have many kind of lessons to attend immigrants and to teach the language to immigrants. So just for you to have an idea, that's 2011, and that's the number of immigrants that we have. Our region is here, and that's Madrid. So the most number of immigrants, or the majority of immigrants, are here. That's Barcelona. It's also an important city in Spain. So in the coast, in the east coast of Spain, and also in Madrid. And then these arrows that go up and down, that means that immigrants has increased in the past years or has fall down in the past year. So as you can see, Castilla-La Mancha have increased in the past year, but for instance on those regions, maybe because of the economical situation in Spain, we have less companies, so now we have less immigrants in these regions. But still, in the agricultural places, they still need immigrants, sometimes to work in the countryside or sometimes to work in different things. So that's the reason why. And then,
can I ask a
yes,
question?
yes.
So those, for example, in Castilla-La Mancha, what the two numbers that are under that, what do they mean?
That means the total number of immigrants, not just in school, at any level, I mean at any age, in general. And then this one here is the number that have increased in the past year.
Okay.
So it would be 2,256, what have increased in this year, in 2011.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. And then we were looking at immigrants at schools in infant and primary, and that's the total number in our region in primary and nursery education. And then we receive immigrants from different countries, but most of them are from the north of Africa, from Morocco, and also from Europe, Europe, and most of them are from Romania. We also have some French people or some Bulgarian people, but most of them are from Romania. And then also we have people from South America, not so much from Central America like you have in here. We don't have so many Mexican, but we have people from Peru and Ecuador.
So
And-
this is this total enrollment in your schools that are immigrants in 2011.
Yeah,
Just in your
just in
Just in
our
Russia.
region and
Okay.
just in preschool and primary education.
Thank you.
So compared to here is very few. Your numbers probably are bigger. And then to attend those immigrants at the school, we have what is called a pedagogical team. I don't know if that's exactly the name in here, but it's Equipo de Orientación y Apoyo. So it's a kind of pedagogical support to kids who are at school, not just for immigrants, but for every kid who are low learners or that have difficulties in learning. So we have the orientador, that's the main person, that's normally a psychology, and he's just trying to find the problems that the student can have to learn. And sometimes those problems can be related to language acquisitions, but sometimes they can be just social problems or any other problems. And then, apart from the school counselor, we have a special education teacher. As we don't have ESL teacher in Spain because we don't have this figure at school, so it's the special education teacher, the one that is teaching the language to immigrants that are coming and they don't have enough level of Spanish. And he's also helping any other students who are not immigrants but can have problems to learn. And then we also have an intercultural advisor, and this is not the one that is teaching the language. He's just in charge of having communication with the families and just trying to integrate the immigrants at school. And also he's taking care of poor families that can need or food or any resources, so they are feeling excluded at school or something like that. So he's not at the classroom, he's just having communication with families and all that. And then we also have a speech and ear training, an ear education teacher, and that's again not just for immigrants, but for every student who is having problems to produce the language in a proper way. Normally when they are at preschool they can have problems about how to talk in Spanish, to pronounce the sounds or... And then we have tutors or guidance that's normally in charge of a group of students, and any other general education teachers that for any kind of reason they have to be with immigrants, so they have to help them to understand the language. But I mean, what I want to make clear is that all of them are not just for immigrants, but for every student who can have problem at school. We don't have a specific support for immigrants at school. And then, well, that would be a kind of comparison between what you have in Nebraska. ESL coaches for us would be school counselors. ESL teachers for us would be special education and intercultural advisor, and then or English teachers, because sometimes are the English teacher the one who are teaching Spanish to immigrants. And then we also have some project to help youth immigrants at school. So we have a program that is called Scholar Advice or Scholar Support Program. That's maybe more clear. And it's called Programa de Refuerzo Curricular. And those are extra lessons that are normally in the afternoon, and they try to help low learners to again integrate in the normal lessons. It's not just for immigrants, but there are many immigrants who are taking part in this program. We also have a very interesting program that is still running, that is called Programa ELCO, that is program to keep mother tongues alive, and that's directed to keep the language of the immigrants, to keep their languages, because sometimes at home they are not speaking Romanian or they are not speaking Arabic anymore. So that's a kind of program to help them to continue communicating in their original language, in their native language. And then I will explain that a bit more in a minute. Then we also have other programs like welcome programs or intercultural programs, but they depend on the autonomous communities on the different regions in Spain, and they can vary, but they are normally at a school. The intercultural advisor is the one that is in charge of the welcome programs or the intercultural programs. And then continue with the ELCO program. This is a kind of agreement between the Embassy of Morocco in Spain and the Embassy of Romania in Spain, and the objective, as I just said, is to keep those languages alive. It's not working with other languages because the most number of immigrants are from Morocco and from Romania. And the teachers are native, they are teaching assistants, and their lessons are in the afternoon, 2 hours a week. And that's again the number of Romanian students who are taking part of the program in primary and secondary education, around 1,000, and that's the number of Arabic students who are taking part in the program. I say still running because probably because of our economic situation, those programs are going to be difficult to keep in the future, but still they have this kind of support. And then she's going to continue with the bilingual education. That's not for immigrants at all, but it's something that we wanted to show you.
Yes, it's a program in all Spain, but in our community we have good experiences, and normally our students choose this kind of centers to make their teaching training practice. So what is a bilingual program? The context of this program is from 3 years old pupils to 18 years old. I mean from preschool to high school, for going to university. And what is the difference between a normal school and a bilingual school? They have 1 or 2, it depends, but our requirement is 1 extra hour teaching in ESL, so English as second language, 1 more hour of English, or français langue étrangère, or French. I like to tell to you that normally 95% of our schools in our programs are teaching bilingual program in English and less in French. In high school, we find some high school we are following this kind of program in French, but normally it's English the most language in this program. And 2 extra hour teaching, and then CLI. What is CLI? It means context, language, integrated learning. So in this kind of centers, pupils receive other subjects who in the past were taught in Spanish, in English, or in French. Normally in primary, they receive science in English, art and crafts in English, or physical education also in English, and or French. In secondary education, normally we can find other subjects like technology or sometimes history, even if it's our history, Spanish history, taught in English. We find this kind of experience. It's difficult for a student, but if they have started from 3 years old with English, they finish secondary with a good level of English. And also these kind of programs have a native conversation teacher, teaching assistant, normally come from the States, Australia, or England, Ireland, or for France, Canada, France, Belgium. And this teacher assistant normally teach 15 or 20 hours in whole in the center, and practice oral skill communication with the students, and also is in charge of culture sessions about their countries. Yes.
Isn't that the culture and language program that Clara Gómez works with?
Yeah.
The people who work in that are ones that can come from UNL or anywhere around the world and
Yes.
do those. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. You can continue.
So
We are not gonna have time for.
We have
time. No. We have some examples in these links to show you one school in English and other in French. We'll start. That's a map of the countries in Europe who have started this kind of programs, and we can see in this color, yes, the country which have experience in the past. And in Spain, not all Spain, it depends on school. It means, well, you can see, not in all country, but we are having good experiences, not in all educational system, but it depends. And we'd like also to speak about Comenius Agreement. What does it mean, Comenius Agreement? It's also an international European program to improve and strengthen contacts and methodology between these European studies. Normally, this kind of bilingual programs participate of this contact with other schools in all Europe. And for teachers, we have two modalities. For teachers, they sign an agreement, a lifelong learning and training for teachers. They normally come in July when they have the holidays. In July, come make this kind of travels to meet the staff teachers of the other European schools. And also for a student, that's very interesting for them. They have cultural exchanges with the pupil during the academic year. And it's an occasion not only to improve their language skills, but also to open-mind the pupils' experiences.
But okay, just to conclude, maybe we wanted to show a bit of everything and we didn't focus on anything, but we wanted to show you a bit of our education at school and also a bit of our faculty, how it's preparing teachers, and also a bit of the project that we are doing that was based on immigration at schools. So looking at the conclusions of the project, we think that more training for teachers could be needed in Spain in the future if the number of immigrants continue increasing. Also more preparation for pre-service and in-service teachers could be also needed because sometimes they are not really ready to deal with immigrants in the classes. And also we have many immigrants who are just coming to the educational system even in secondary school, not just in primary. So sometimes in secondary, not just because of the language, but also because of the contents, they find a lot of difficulties. Because even if they are from Ecuador or South America and they speak our language, they have a lot of problems to integrate in the system because they are coming from something completely different. And also regarding to the last part of our presentation that was about bilingualism at school, we think that in the previous 10 years, very important initiatives were carried out, but still we have to continue working on that in the following year if we want to keep that alive. So that's everything. Thank you very much. I hope you have an idea of. So.